Just like he said, this is all part of the process for us. This is just another step. I know for myself and the coaches, step one was kind of the Senior Bowl, and then we've been diving into some tape. Brad and his crew have a lot better feel of these guys than we do, and so now it's kind of the coaches part of this process to get acclimated, start to figure out what we need to figure out from a football aspect, and so Indy helps us do that. But just like he said, this is kind of step two. So. No, nothing. Look, I have high standards for our coaches, and I think a lot of them. And so to see them in elevated roles, it was, it was what I anticipated. I've from Deuce taking the head coach role, I knew he'd do a good job, and he did. I mean, he stepped up, and wasn't too big for him. He was organized, detailed. Motivated those guys, structured, and then AP and Ben, I thought they did a good job, and then the young guys stepped up. So, when you hire coaches, or at least when I think of hiring coaches, I think of growth, and you want these guys to be able to develop and kind of meet the standards of what we're all looking for when they get a chance to do it and they get their own room. How do they handle it, or once they get a whole unit. So. No, I thought they did a good job. They did what I expected them to do.
Yeah, we talked about your staff changes earlier. You mentioned a little bit of change on the front. What is it about your personnel that you're bringing back that you like maybe in a new 4-down front versus maybe some 3-down stuff?
Yeah, I just think it fits our personnel better. And look, we'll still have elements of what we originally did last year. So I don't want to say that this is a 100% wholesale change. It's just we'll be a little bit heavier that way. I think with what we've got, I think it just fits us a little bit better, if you will. It gives us more flexibility in the front. I think, for example, somebody like Levi, as he continues to grow and develop, he can play anywhere from a 3 technique to a nose to a defensive end and what the structure of our defense. And so that just helps, The more versatility you have with what you're able to do defensively, it helps you, and it helps you find players too. I don't think it necessarily changes. Actually, it probably makes it just a little bit easier. You kind of, as we went last year, we kind of had a bucket of a type of players that where do they fit? They're kind of their own position, if you will, but do they necessarily fit? Where do we put them in our defense? And I think there's a much clearer place to put those guys, and there's a lot of them. So I think that helps. And, AG's, I think a lot of AG, and he's constantly grinding and thinking about what's best for us, what's best for his unit, how do they improve, where do we go from here, what do we need, just like we all do. So this will be good.
Coach, I know that every class is different, but getting you around, you get the first name, quarterbacks, around 6 of them, senior board, and knowing that every class is different, how would you describe this class of quarterbacks?
Oh, I don't know if I can get that far into. You should have asked Brad that. He was just up here. He'd have a much better answer than I would about that. Look, I think it's look. They're football players. That's what they are. There's a lot of guys I think they can do. Well, they all have different skill sets, and there again, we're early in this process. I mean, so the combine's part of it. We interviewed a couple last night. We'll continue to interview. We'll have some Zooms. We may bring them in on a 30 visit. So there's still a lot of this left. But I know there's guys in here that can play football, and that's, just like any other year.
We talked a lot last year about how the offense maybe not having the right pieces to get the full advantage of Jared Goff, get the most out of the offense.
Yeah.
How important is it for you guys to get that right here the next couple of weeks or 3 weeks in the draft to get that number one receiver and get those pieces that the offense has?
Yeah, I think certainly yes, that helps him, but it helps us. I mean, so just to get the piece to I think help us efficiently, our efficiency on offense is going to be big. So it is, and anytime you can add a piece or a weapon on the perimeter, particularly, that's going to help. That's going to help him, and it will help us. So that's one of the things that we'd like to do. Whether it's free agency or it's the draft, and we'll keep our eyes open. But there again, it's got to be the right guy and the right fit for us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, both of those guys we feel like right now are right where they need to be. It's probably the best way to describe that. And as long as everything stays the course with their the recovery, then we should have them hopefully by training camp. At least on a limited basis, which would be good. So we're hoping for the season on both of those guys that they're ready. Okudah, as opposed to receiver, or right now we see him as corner. But look, a lot of this will be as we can continue to discuss, and depending on who we add or how we add, you never know. I mean, we're constantly talking about our personnel and what's best for them moving forward. What's best for us? Should this guy go to safety? Should this guy go to nickel? Should we bump this guy back out to corner? How are our injured guys? What do we add? And so we just constantly are going to have, dialogue about that. But yeah, we see Jeff out there, and what we need to do is just continue to add pieces that can compete. I mean, that's ultimately what you're looking for. Whether you add in free agency or the draft, you're looking for guys to compete. That's really what you're, to come in there and mix it up. And then because when you do that, then you find the best guys. A lot of times it is probably the guy that you just signed or the guy that you drafted, but that's not always the case. And the good news is that you're going to find the best guy to come out of it, because they are going to have to compete for that job. I don't want to make too big of a deal with that. I know you guys have jumped on that one. It's not that big of a deal. A lot of it is what we did the back half of the season anyway.
I guess my question was, how does that fit with what you do at the next level behind them at linebacker? Like how that maybe frees them up a little bit, like that, how that.
Yeah, I think for us, what we want to be able to play downhill. We want our linebackers to play downhill. We don't want to flow laterally. We want to be going downhill first. And we don't want to be run and hit and take the blocks off of them. And so, I think this will help those guys as well.
You had six Georgia guys in Mobile with you. What did you learn from being around these
Say that again?
The Georgia guys you were with in Mobile. What did you learn from being with them that week that you didn't see on film?
Well, I think you get a good feel of them mentally with an install, and how they respond to coaching, and that's with any player. That's what you get, because you actually get hands-on with them for 5 days. So, and I would say that I'm disappointed, and they took coaching and did a good job. They're certainly talented players.
Coach, what do you think about the evolution of the quarterback position now, leaning a little bit more on quick reaction plays outside of structure, obviously RPO concepts and all that? How does that? What do you think of that trend, and how does that work in with your offense? Obviously, you guys work with that a lot.
Yeah, look, I think it's about finding the best player, for us, and that's kind of been what I'm all about, what we're all about. And so if the right player's sitting there, I'm not worried about scheme. And man, if we love a guy and you get him and he's going to be your starter, then we'll build it around him. I mean, we'll do what he does best. So we'll change the whole damn thing if we have to. So I'm not worried about that, but it is about finding the right guy that you really believe in. Like if you believe in him and you think he can grow and you think he can develop, and he's smart and he's got moxie and he can command a huddle, and he can do a lot of different jobs. and he can do those things, that's awesome, But if the guy's not able to think, or you can only put a very small amount on him, and he doesn't have the ability to grow, or it doesn't matter if you're mobile or not. You still have to be able to function in offense and have a commanding presence with those guys. I just believe that. So I think there's a lot of things that go into it. I mean, just look, when you start talking about a backup, especially at one of those positions, you're thinking, hey, man, something happens, get us through the rest of the game, another game or two. So, 2 or 3 games max is kind of what you're thinking. And, I don't think anybody thinks, you don't want to think that way. Like, hey, all right, we got to back up that way. If we lose a guy for 16 games, it's like, and so I think you're looking for a guy that at that position that can move the offense. And more than anything, it's like, hey, he's not going to do anything that's going to hurt this team or hurt your offense. And he can function, and he's going to get you into the right play with run checks, things of that nature. And knowing that we're not going to have to put everything on him to win a game. We just need to make sure that this guy, can move it, can move the ball, can move his offense. And I think that's what you're looking for. No more, no less.
Dan, how would you prioritize at the quarterback position the traits that you deem necessary, the criteria necessary to at a Super Bowl level?
Yeah, listen, you've seen guys that have different skill sets that have won Super Bowls. I mean, over the last year. Now, I know Tom Brady's not the most mobile guy, but yet, he's able to sit back there. He does have pocket presence. Now, he's one of the, he's been a hell of a player for a long time. And I know that he's kind of an exception to the rule. And then you see the mobile quarterback that can make plays, Josh Allen's, Mahomes, those guys. But, certainly to be able to, to make something happen, if plays break down, that helps. But I think more than anything, I still think you got to find the right guy. I mean, it's got to be the right guy for you. And I'm not so caught up in, what a guy's mobility is, what it's not. Can he make some plays with his legs? I want to know he's the right fit and the right makeup internally before the external comes into play. I just think that's big. Well, yeah, I'm going to make that decision sometime between now and the first game of the season. So, no, honestly, I'm not. I'm just going to let this go as it goes and just get a feel of it. Let Ben go, let him fly, and I'll be involved, and we'll be talking about it, where we go from here, how we build it, the little things that we need to get better at, and what we want to improve, and what we kind of want to make our own. And then I'll decide, I'll decide at some point, but I'm not in any hurry with that either. I just want Ben to do what he did towards the back end of the year, and just let him go, let him continue to grow and kind of make it our own, and see where it goes. No, unless he's leaving. Is he leaving? No. No, look, and I can't worry. These guys asked me this earlier, and for me, I have to assume that he's going to be there next year, and that's what we got to be ready to go, and that's what we're going to have to play against, and that's the standard that's been set in our division, is you got to try to unseat him. And
Same question that we asked Brad. What do you see as Tre?
yeah, we'll cover that. I love Tre. He's everything you're looking for from the intangibles, and he's had a heck of a career, and I love everything that he stands for, and we'll make that decision in time. Go ahead.
Do you think that last game, that win over Green Bay, helps your players, particularly younger players, something to build on? Confidence after they pull off that win?
I just think, just in general, not just the young guys, I think our team, I think that we really finished the back half of the season. We just improved. you know, and those guys believed. They really believed every week. But I think that's a testament to those guys. They kept going, and I think if anything, these guys know, and anybody that wants them to come into our building, if you want to know what we're about cutting it loose. We're going to be aggressive, and we don't cower from anybody. We respect all of our opponents, but we don't fear any of them. And so if you want to come to Detroit, you're going to be gritty, and you're going to be with a bunch of guys that freaking love the game. They're going to give all their heart and soul, and we're going to cut it loose. So that's what we're about, and that's what they know.